Oi, pessoal, eu sou Catarina Moraes e hoje a gente vai fazer uma entrevista exclusiva com a Addie Oasis. Hi, Addie, how are you?
Olá.
Olá.
Good, tudo bem.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here with you and interviewing you. It's going to be amazing.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So to start off, I wanted to ask you, could you share with us your journey of being Addie, and what is it when you launched your solo career? How did you feel with everything that you've been through?
Ooh, we're starting strong.
Yeah.
So I started music when I was a baby, a little girl. Like I was about 2 years old when I started singing, and I spent my whole childhood touring in France. I was born and raised in Paris. And after high school, I just couldn't shake off the idea that I was going to be a musician. It just was so strong in me. So I decided to leave France and move to New York. At first, I was really looking for my identity as a singer, my sound as a musician. I was looking for myself as an artist, right? And fast forward, to answer your question, I think I got there only many years later once I found my name, Addie Oasis. All of these things had fallen into place first. I fell in love with the bass. I became a bass player, and I went through different bands, and I was the lead singer of different bands, and then bass player for other artists. And little by little, I found myself, and here I am.
Oh, that's amazing. And I wanted to comment, because your name is very powerful, because Oasis, I read in the dictionary, it has a definition that it means that it's calm and a pleasant place in the middle of somewhere busy and chaotic.
Yeah.
And the first time that I listened to your song Twilight was in 2020. And I felt that. I had that little feeling of like a comfortable place in the middle of like chaos that I was feeling. And in the world nowadays, there is like a context of like chaos and new informations all the time. And I wanted to ask you, as an artist in the industry, what is the scenario for you? Like, how do you feel about this constant change and challenges of new information that's happening right now?
Well, I think I will say I'm thankful that I have my music, that I have art, that I have the studio or the stage as places where it just kind of time freezes for a moment, and everything that's going on outside doesn't matter. And that's why I chose that name. One, I love the way it sounds, but two, it really is a reflection of what music means to me and what I would love for my music to mean to people. So thank you for saying that, because it's a victory for me if you feel that way.
That's amazing. And you said that you grew up in France. And I wanted to ask you, you also live in the U.S. right now in New York.
I live in Brooklyn. Yeah.
And how has these cultural places shaped your type of music? And are there any other places that you feel that also have like an influence and an impact in your sound that you do today?
I was born and raised in Paris. My father is from a Caribbean island called Martinique. And that culture is where I got music from. We're a very musical culture. We all like play some sort of instrument or sing, and any family gathering revolves around dancing and singing. Very late. So that prepared me for late night shows. Yeah. But I think the journey of an artist, we're lucky enough to travel the world, like even being here in Brazil, or I've been to Turkey, I've been to Japan, and all these places are what the cultural influence that I'm getting is. Like I get to meet people. And my main source of inspiration is people, stories of humanity, because the more you travel, the more you realize we're not that different from each other. And it's just, we're all so connected. And I think art is there to remind us of that, to help us connect to other people.
Yeah. I see that you also always talk about like African American, like in the US, like that influenced your sound. Yeah. But I also wanted to know, like, how do you stay true to your own identity in your sound? Because even having all these like mixed influences, how did you find like the one that you think that is yours right now? I don't
think I can claim any sound to be mine. Like, we all borrow from something that was already done, and it's just, that's what art is, especially in music. I'm never going to invent anything. I'm just doing something that is as close to me as possible. And I think in my lyrics is where I sort of talk about my personal experience. And I'm realizing the more I talk about my personal experience, the more people seem to relate to it. Because again, there aren't that many different stories of humans.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. And I also wanted to know, because you're a bass player, like you said, and like when I like digested your sound, I could totally feel it, because like soul, funk, it's all like mixed together, and bass is a very important instrument. But why did you start playing bass?
By accident, a fortunate accident. I was playing guitar already in my first group soon after I moved to New York. We had some shows scheduled and we were in rehearsal, and our bass player canceled at the last minute, and the show was the next day. And the guys were like, "Hey, you play guitar. Why don't you just play bass?" And that's how I started playing
And then
bass.
you just picked it up and
I fell in love completely with the instrument, and it became an answer to a question that I had for a long time. Like, again, in seeking my sound and my personality, my persona. And I locked myself in my apartment for 2 years and just practiced.
Oh, that's amazing.
You have to practice.
Yeah, you have to practice to be good.
You can't just pick it up.
Yeah, but I saw that you, in other interviews, you said Prince was like a big influence in your like musical career. I think you referred to him a lot in other interviews. And here in Antena 1, the radio station, we love like old school songs and everything. So I wanted to ask you, which artists can you like tell me that had an impact in your career?
Yeah, Prince is my all-time favorite artist. I'm also very influenced by funk and soul from the 70s. Chaka Khan is my other favorite artist. Amazing. I love Sly and the Family Stone, Earth, Wind and Fire. I love Aretha Franklin for vocals. And then for more modern, like, artists, I love Michèle Petricien, for instance, who's an amazing bass player as well. I mean, the list goes on.
The list goes on, but they're amazing artists that you referred right now. And now I was so impacted when I saw you touring pregnant, because it was such a big moment. And I saw many people reacted I mean, admiring your energy and your talent. And I wanted to ask, how was this experience of touring pregnant and all that?
It was so hard. It was very, very difficult.
It seemed easy when I saw you. It was like, oh my God.
When you're in the middle of something very difficult that you just pull through, and it's only afterwards that for me, when the first show that I did after giving birth to my daughter, I realized how much easier it was to play bass without and I cried. I went to my dressing room and I cried for a moment, but really of pride. I just looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, wow, you did that. Wow. Because in the moment it was truly difficult, but I think that's why I sing about women so much. It's just the power that we have. We just go through things on a daily basis that people don't necessarily understand how difficult it is, but you just keep going. And that's for anyone who has challenges in general. You just show up with a smile and just make it look like you're not struggling.
And you usually talk about there are some songs that you refer about women, and what is your main what you try to pass to people that listen to you? Because you said that you try to find a good place because people relate to stories. But what is your main point when you think that you write a lyrics talking about women? What do you feel that you want to pass to the public?
I'll just share my point of view. That's it. And I realize the more true to myself I am in the lyrics, I'm not trying to get anyone in particular, or I just share my point of view in my story, or other people's stories if I hear something that inspires me, or things that matter to me. For instance, I have a song called Don't Pull the Guns. Luckily, I haven't been stuck in a mass shooting. I hope that never happens, but just reading that in the news as a person that grew up in France and living in the United States where the gun laws are just non-existing anymore. That was something I wanted to talk about.
And now I wanted to talk about your recent singles that you said, and that you released 5 new singles already. From the latest project was Lotus Glow, but I wanted to talk about 2 specific singles. First one is Serena, because I read it that the title was inspired by Serena Williams.
It's about Serena Williams.
Serena.
The whole song is about her.
I wanted you to talk about the meaning of the song and what it meant to you to like sing it and write it and do it?
So I love Serena. I love tennis, and I love Serena. She's been a hero of mine for a long time since I was a little girl, and mainly I remember watching her like on TV when she was, winning all these tournaments and just seeing this strong, like mentally strong black woman in a world where like it was mostly a white world, the tennis world, and she was constantly beat down. And I remember that really touching me at the time. And because this album is about my point of view, which is being in the shoes of a woman of color, living in America, she just kind of embodied that as much as I could imagine, like anyone could. And the interesting thing is I wrote that song. One of the things I admired the most about her was that she was so fearless, and she won the Australian Open while pregnant. Yeah. And I remember I was always like, this is incredible. But fast forward, full circle, I'm performing this song, touring to promote this album, and I'm pregnant myself.
Wow.
So it's a full circle
That's
moment.
Amazing. And I wanted, the second song is Multiply, where you sing with Legge Luna.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun fact. When I was researching to do this interview, and I saw you pregnant, like doing your tour, I immediately remembered a concert that I saw of Legge Luna last year, where she talked about like motherhood and like being pregnant. And then I thought it was such a coincidence, because Multiply, it's kind of like the theme of the song is like the connections that you feel that you want to make like multiply. So like have babies.
Yeah.
So I thought it was such a coincidence. And I wanted to know, how was this collaboration, and what does it mean to your artistic journey to collaborate with her?
It's no coincidence, and that's the thing. The coincidence is that I actually ended up having a baby right after putting out that song. But again, I share my truth, and in that song, I'm talking about the desire that I had to want to have a child, and I wanted to flip the scenario because a lot of lyrics is misogynist, and very often you hear like men that are saying, "I want to have your baby," and like, and I was like, wait, well, how about I claim the scenario and I talk about what I believe I want, and just talk about what is my desire. And then fast forward, I ended up having a baby. But so I think that's why Luigi resonated with that song, because it also is in line with what she talks about. And I'm a huge fan of hers. I was so honored that she accepted to do this collaboration with me, and it's a good way for me to have an even stronger connection to my Brazilian audience, which is super important to me.
And it's an amazing song.
Thank you.
Both of them are beautiful. And talking about collaborations, you also like had lots of collaborations throughout your career, but do you have anyone that's like most memorable, or do you think like it was a milestone in your career?
I would say the song Mango with my dear friend Kamal. That was a pivotal moment. Also because we wrote it in 2020. It came out in 2020. We filmed the video on the street because it was a pandemic and we had no money and no not a lot of options in the middle of the pandemic. And I felt like that song was a pivotal moment in my career. A lot of people resonated with it, and that's where I started seeing an audience in Brazil developing as well. I feel like people knew that song here.
The people loved it here. And
thank you.
Talking about Brazil also, you're gonna do 2 concerts here in Brazil, and it's your first time like solo career performing. So what are your expectations?
I have no expectations. I'm just so lucky to be here. Like that's the expectations have been met. Just the fact that you're inviting me on the show with this big smile, and some people listen to my music. That's already such a victory to me. So, tomorrow I'm just going to do what I do. I'm just going to get on stage and hit another place in my brain where I'm connecting to some sort of universal realm and connect with the audience and have the best time.
Oh, that's amazing. And finally, just to finish off, we all want to know, like, what can we expect next from you? What is your like next step from your career? What do you think you're gonna do in the near future?
I think it's limitless. I just want to put out more and more music, better and better music, and I definitely hope that this is only the beginning of my relationship with the Brazilian audience. I really want to claim that I want to have something here that's very special with people here.
That's
So I hope to come
amazing.
back soon.
You will. Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
interview. Então é isso, pessoal. Essa foi a entrevista com a Adi Oasis. Não se esquece de seguir a gente nas plataformas digitais e acompanhar antena1.com.br para as mais matérias. Tchau, tchau e até a próxima.